Some call it hope. Life is just a kaleidoscope. Another day, another dream, another vision to be found. Life is never only what it seems. The possibilities abound when that wheel spins round and round. For my thoughts, oh, I always got a lot to say, and I would spill it all, but these words get in the way. Don't you know that still we carry on, even when we rumble against the ropes? There comes another dawn, like a kaleidoscope. To be found. Life is never only what it seems. The possibilities abound when that wheel spins round and round. Castles in the air can disappear with a flick of the wrist. And if you want to change direction, just give it all another twist. 'Cause there ain't nothing there to fix. No, there ain't nothing there that's broke. Sometimes a good shake is all you need of this old kaleidoscope. Another day, another dream, another vision to be found. Life is never only what it seems. The possibilities abound when that wheel spins round and round. Nobody knows, nobody knows, round and round.
And in fact, not even really sure what I'm going to talk about in this moment, but I did find myself this morning really just in a sheer state of panic, because I was like, I don't know what I'm going to talk about today. I've got to get Salad Sunday, I've got to get I'm on logistics, I've got to do the membership drive, we've got the meeting after the service, I've got to go to the grocery store, I've got to walk the dogs. I think I have clothes on. I don't think my dress is tucked in the back, but somebody please tell me, be that kind of friend. And so I was probably not my best self this morning before I left my house to go to the grocery store. And so I found myself at the grocery store, which apparently is, I don't know, the hub for my spiritual learning lately. And I'm getting all my groceries, and I'm like, what is this feeling? Like, I've had it multiple times this week where, like, I'm just feeling a lot of anxiety and panic and trying to get things accomplished. And so I'm going around, I'm getting my groceries, and I thought I was running late, but it turns out I was right on time. And I go to check out, and there's, if you check out in an aisle, you have your cart, it's the cashier, there was a bagger this morning, and then there's an empty cart on the end, right? So you take the groceries from the cart, you scan them, pass them down, the bagger bags them, then puts the bags in the cart, right? That's usual process. Well, for some reason, this morning, the cashier was taking groceries from the cart, scanning them, handing them to the bagger was putting them in the bags, and then she was taking the bags and putting them back into the cart with the groceries. And there might as well have been a giant mirror hanging in front of her body. Because I had this awareness, because I was watching her and she was getting frustrated, because like now she can't get the groceries out of the cart easily because she's got bags in there. And so this whole thing started happening to her, and I was just a witness. And I thought I could interrupt her and tell her how she could do this better and easier for herself. But I was like, you know what, I'm not going to do that, because I saw the mirror, and I saw in that moment that the reason I'm feeling this way is because I'm overcomplicating things. And whether that's coming from a place of trying to do everything or trying to be kind and considerate of others, which is not a bad thing, it's a great thing, or if it's a control thing. I'm not really sure. I'm going to dig into this later. But I just realized, like, there's a simpler way, and it's allowing that flow and that grace to pass through me. And you know what happened? Anyway, my groceries ended up in the cart, they ended up in my car, and they ended up at home. And they're salad. So let's take that into a time of prayer. Holy Heart of the universe, may we come into this time and this place with an open heart and an open mind. As we rest into our chairs and rest into the knowledge that the divine grace is there always. And if we allow it, will flow through us, feed us, and feed others as we move through this experience together. And so it is.
The last few days have been such a beautiful blur. The kind of days where I don't worry about anything at all. Where I refuse to read directions I've been given. I refuse to follow any signs at all. And I let the chips fall where they are most willing. I won't answer no one's call. No one's call. And if I said the wind was whispering in my ear, would you know what I mean? If I told you I heard words that were unspoken each and every time I dream? If I told you I could sum all this up in 3 chords and a song, sing it for you right here and right now. Would you join me in the chorus? We can sing it all night long. It's an infinite refrain, it's got no final bound. And it goes like this. Imagine yourself in the right here and now. That's exactly where you'll be. And if you're thinking it's too easy, you're thinking way too hard, you gotta let it be. And imagine yourself pirate, and you'd find me lost at sea. Cause as for sails and ships, you know, well, I haven't got a clue. These 6 strings, they're all my 7 seas, and the only ship a pirate like me is ever gonna need. This journey started back when I was young. It might never end, not while there's still one more song to be sung. And it goes like this. Well, imagine yourself in the right here and now. That's exactly where you'll be. If you're thinking it's too easy, you're thinking way too hard, you gotta let it be. Imagine yourself in the right here and now. It's exactly where you'll be, exactly. If you're thinking it's too easy, now you're thinking way too hard, you gotta let it be. And imagine yourself. Just imagine yourself.
This is you, Megan, right?
That is me, Megan.
Okay, because I never, is there another Megan here?
Could be.
Is this your quote? Yeah, it is. Yogananda, come on. Go ahead.
Yeah, so this is a quote from Yogananda, surprisingly. Rising above the duality of creation and realizing the oneness of the Creator. This is the supreme goal of man.
Amen. Amen. Thank you. Yeah. Paramahansa Yogananda. Right there. The goal to realize our oneness. You know, last week I talked about how when we feel separate from somebody, how it's not, maybe we don't help them as much as we could when we feel like I'm the helper and you are the helped. So this idea of oneness, you know, threads through more than just one thing, yeah? Yeah. So, how you walk in the world makes a difference. How you walk. The consciousness that you bring to the world makes a difference. You know that, right? You know that inherently? Like how you walk. It makes a difference. It's a reflection of your consciousness. How you walk in the world is a reflection of your consciousness. And some of us have a consciousness of lack. And we walk around the world, and what a consciousness of lack means is that we walk around the world and we notice everything that's wrong, or everything that can be improved upon, or that nothing can work out, or we don't have enough, or will never be enough, or we're definitely going to lose, or there's no way to win. Are you recognizing that? Some of us sometimes walk around with a consciousness of lack. We see a detail, we see a fact that seems that it's in lack, and then we create a story about how it's true and how it couldn't be otherwise. Let me give you an example. So recently, if you signed up for the newsletter and you actually open the newsletter, which, I don't know, I talk to Maggie all the time about the open rate, so I know how many people actually open it. But we've been reporting for a while now of what the budget is at Soul Center, how much we take in each month at Soul Center, and the difference between those two numbers, right? So we need this amount, and we take in this amount, and this is the difference. And most of the times it's been short of the budget. And I've been sharing that with you. And, you know, as ministers do, we get emails from all sorts of folks about all sorts of things all the time. And this person wrote me this email about that and said, there's a group of us that are worried about the viability of Spiritual Soul Center. Because we're reading about this information and we're like, well, maybe we shouldn't be donating here if it's going to go under. You know, it's not a good thing. So looking at it, looking at the fact is we're not meeting the budget many months, but the consciousness that I carry affects how I receive that fact, right? It affects how I see that fact. Someone else said to me, well, maybe we shouldn't be giving away so much money. You know, we should keep it so we can meet our budget. You know, what's that consciousness? That consciousness is looking at that and saying, we don't have enough. There's fear or worry or doubt in there, and that's the consciousness of lack. Right? That's a consciousness of lack. It's looking at the facts and saying, somebody on the board needs to do something about this budget because we're not meeting it, and somebody needs to do something. Right? All right. Somebody else, not me, for goodness sakes, not me. And it reminded me of this scripture, and I love to use this, the Message Bible. And this is from Mark. This is the story of Jesus having been teaching, and he's tired. And he says, let's go across the water because I'm tired. I need a break. All right? I need a break. Even Jesus needs a break, by the way, Megan. Oh, yeah, she'll be taking a nap over there. All right, Paula, see ya. So he said, let's go across to the other side. So they took him in the boat as he was, tired. And the other boats came along, and a huge storm came up. And waves poured in the boat, threatening to sink it. And Jesus was in the stern. His head was on a pillow, sleeping. And they roused him, saying, Teacher, is it nothing to you that we're going down? Oh my God, the budget, we're not going to make it. We're going down. And awake now, he told the wind to pipe down, and he said to the sea, be quiet, settle down. And the wind ran out of breath, and the sea became smooth as glass. And Jesus said to his disciples, why are you such cowards? Don't you have any faith at all? You know? And the greatest Bible teacher I ever had told me, I don't know if this happened or didn't happen, but the story is true. The spiritual lesson is right there. It's like when I'm in the midst of turmoil, when it seems like the boat is sinking, what am I supposed to do? What is Jesus' counsel in this way? Like, be quiet. Go within. Go somewhere else. Like, you don't have to believe all the stuff that's in turmoil around you and make up a story about drowning. It's not necessary. It's not necessary. That's what this is saying to me. So, a consciousness of abundance looks at the facts, same facts, and says, I wonder what's possible here. Anything. I wonder what's possible here. Anything. We could be diving down and going off the edge of the earth, or we can be flying up to the moon. Anything. What is possible here? That's what the consciousness of abundance is about. It's going in the world and saying, I wonder what's possible. And when I publish the budget that way, when we do that, that's what I'm hoping you say. Oh, I have this extra $5. Think I'll give it to Soul Center. They're great. They help me. You know, it's a great place to be. The consciousness of abundance says, what's possible here? What's possible for me? What's possible for Soul Center? What's possible? That's the consciousness of abundance. It looks at the world and says, what's possible? So, here's another example. Are you familiar with Gandhi's Salt March? Anybody familiar with Gandhi's Salt March? Few people, not many. So in 1930, Gandhi had been in South Africa doing some of his work with Indians in South Africa, and he returns to India in 1930. And in 1930, India was still under British rule. Okay, it was a British colony. So, and the Brits had passed a law in 1822, I think it is, 1882. It's called the Salt Act, and it prohibited everyone in India from manufacturing or gathering salt. I mean, India has 4,671 miles of coastline, not allowed to go and get any salt. Not allowed. And there's salt flats in many of the areas in India, from what I understand. I have not seen them. Can't do it because the Brits said, well, we're going to manufacture salt, we're going to charge you a lot of money for it, we're going to put another tax on it, and we're going to make lots of money on selling you the salt that you already have. And so Gandhi wants to start this movement of becoming free from British rule. You think that's possible? You know, what do you think of that possibility? Someone with lack consciousness say, well, that'll never happen. You know, Mohandas Gandhi is going to lead us out of British rule. But Gandhi didn't think that way. Gandhi was like thinking, well, how could it happen? How could it happen? And so in 1930, he had this idea. He said, we're going to rebel against this Salt Act. That's what we're going to do. We're going to rebel against this Salt Act, and we're going to harvest some salt from the sea in our act of rebellion. That's what we're going to do. So it sounds pretty benign, doesn't it? But he was convinced of this idea. He lived at the town he was living in was about 240 miles from the sea. He started marching the Salt March on this what do you call it? Road. Path. He started this march. Okay, he started marching. He did about 10 miles a day, and every time he would stop, he would talk about this idea of becoming free of British rule. And what he was going to do, we were going to go there and we were going to break this law. We were going to break this law. And so over 10 days, or over about, like I said, about 10 miles a day, 240 miles, he marched, gathered all these people. By the time he got to the beach, there were tens of thousands of people with him. Tens of thousands of people with him. Unfortunately, the British knew he was coming because he had tens of thousands of people with him. It was not sneaking in. And they had pushed all of the salt flats into the mud. Oh, yeah, those darn Brits, you know. Oh, right in the mud. You know what Gandhi did? He reached down, he put his hand in the mud, and he took up a salt crystal, and there it started. There it started in 1930, defying that law, saying we will not accept this anymore. It took 17 years for India to become free of British rule. In 1947, from 1930 to 1947, he worked tirelessly. They went to prison. He was in prison. They went to jail. All these people. I mean, and the rulers in Britain realized that they could not contain his energy. They could not contain what he had started. And so in 1947, India became a free nation. Less than 6 months later, he was assassinated by a Hindu extremist. What is possible? Looking at the fact and deciding what is possible. That is consciousness of abundance. That's what it is. That's the difference between a consciousness of lack and a consciousness of abundance. In other words, the existing condition has no bearing on it at all. If it did for Gandhi, what? Yeah, not. If the budget in the newsletter is done, none. The consciousness of lack keeps us stuck. Nothing else to do. The only way it is. Not going to move. Too bad. Scared, worried, doubt. Or I wonder what's possible. I wonder what could be. I wonder what could be. And really, it's about, since it isn't about this out here, it's about what's in here. It's about turning inward and deciding. Gandhi didn't get that idea by flipping through books and talking to people. I mean, he got that idea from the divine in himself already. Like, that's where it was. It was always there. And he said yes to it. He said yes to it. Here's how Jesus talks about it. What's my next story here? This is from Matthew chapter 6. He says, because this is how much control we have over life. He said, life is far more, there is far more to your life than the food you put in your stomach, more to your outer appearance than the clothes you hang on your body. He said, just look at the birds and look at the flowers and look, isn't the divine, isn't the pulse of life taking care of all that? You know, why don't I go within and find that in me? It's there too. Has anyone by fussing in front of a mirror even gotten taller by so much as an inch? And some of us would love to have another inch, you know. My sisters are all 5'11". All two of them, you know. My brother is 6'2" or 3". My mother's finally shrinking, so she's about my height. She said, all this time and money wasted on fashion. Do you think it makes a difference? Instead of looking at fashions, walk out in the fields and look at the wildflowers. They never primp or shop. And have you seen any color quite like that? The 10 best dressed men and women in the country look shabby alongside them. Isn't that true? And I'm telling you, y'all look great. It's not a judgment about that. It's where our consciousness is about it. You see, it's where our consciousness is about it. If God gives such attention to the appearance of wildflowers, most will never be seen, by the way. Don't you think He'll attend to you, take pride in you, give you what you need from the inside? Don't you think that's possible? He said, give your entire attention to what God is doing right now, and don't get worked up about what may or may not happen tomorrow. God will help you deal with that when it comes. You see, the consciousness of abundance takes no information from what's out here. Facts are facts. There happen to be this, but the consciousness I have is rooted in this. It's rooted in the divine in me and the divine in you. That's where I go for guidance about it. No, I don't accept that this is all there is, that there's a possibility here. There's a possibility here. Really, I'm asking is, what kind of life experience do you want to have? What kind of life experience? It's my favorite David Thoreau quote. You've heard it before. You know, why do I want to be thrown off track by every nutshell and mosquito wing that falls on the rail? Why? Why do I want to do that? When I have a consciousness of whack, I'm setting myself up for every nutshell and mosquito wing that falls off my rail for me to go off. Here's what I'm thinking about here. We have a choice. This word came up in my consciousness. So I don't be a doomsayer. A doomsayer is the person who imagines disaster. Comes out of worry and fear. Here's my new word, not in any dictionary. I want to be a possibilist. I want to be the person who imagines it just might work. Or there's something that will work. Yes, a possibilist. Yeah. You're going to remember that word. Don't look it up in a dictionary. You're not going to find it. Don't Google it. Well, you will after this goes on YouTube, because then you'll Google possibilist and this video will show up. Well, maybe not, but you know. Like, how you look at life matters. How you look at life matters. And listen, this is not about rose-colored glasses and this toxic kind of positivity that people talk about. You know, sometimes stuff is bad. It's not about putting the glasses on and skipping down the road and saying, oh, everything's great. Everything's really good and picking flowers. It's not that. It's being in the midst of that and knowing where to go to get the wisdom to guide you in the midst of that. To know that it's in there. That's what a possibilist got. Like, what might be possible here? What could be possible that I don't see today? That's what it is. Not everything is good, because sometimes things are not good on the outside. It's not making them good. It's asking what's possible. All great work is done, in my opinion, from the consciousness of abundance versus the consciousness of lack. Gandhi proved that. Jesus talks about it. And now I'm going to read some lyrics from St. Dolly Parton. Because you all know, I'm not waiting for the Pope to canonize her. I'm calling her saint right now. She wrote this song in 1971. This is called Coat of Many Colors. Listen to these words of Coat of Many Colors. Back through the years I go wandering once again, back to the seasons of my youth. I recall a box of rags that someone gave us, and how my mama put the rags to use. There were rags of many colors, but every piece was small, and I didn't have a coat, and it was way down in the fall. Mama sewed the rags together, so in every piece with love she made my coat of many colors that I was so proud of. As she sewed, she told a story from the Bible she had read about a coat of many colors Joseph wore, and then she said, "Perhaps this coat will bring you good luck and happiness." And I just couldn't wait to wear it, and Mama blessed it with a kiss. So with patches on my breeches and holes in both my shoes, in my coat of many colors, I hurried off to school, just to find the others laughing and making fun of me in my coat of many colors that my mama made for me. And though I couldn't understand it, for I felt I was rich, and I told him of the love my mama sewed in every stitch. And I told him all the story that my mama told me while she sewed, and how my coat of many colors was worth more than all their clothes. But they didn't understand it, and I tried to make them see that one is only poor only if they choose to be. Now I know we had no money, but I was rich as I could be in my coat of many colors that my mama made for me. Yeah. That's why I say St. Dolly. St. Dolly, 1971. Consciousness of lack, consciousness of abundance. It was a choice. It's a choice, and it's something that we nurture as well. Like we don't, you hear this measure say, "Oh, now I'm going to have a consciousness of abundance." Well, yeah, and we have to nurture that in ourselves, because sometimes we go here into the doomsayer place. I do. Sometimes I see something and I go here. It's not a judgment about that. It's not a judgment about those emails I got or what people said. It's like, if I'm to nurture my consciousness, let me become aware of how I react to facts and stuff that are out here. Let me see, how do I react to other people? How do I react to my family and my body, and what I can do and what I can't do, and what I look like? How do I react to those? What do I think when I encounter that? What is my consciousness when I do that? That's what it calls us to do, to nurture that, to think about that, to look at the situation, to look at the world, to look at what's happening in the world. Where is my consciousness? When I look at the USA, where is my consciousness? It's our choice of where we put our consciousness, or how we walk in the world. The great thing to practice is to pause and understand that, and to go within and say, where is that wisdom in me that will give me how I can be in this world and be with this set of facts and set of conditions, and be the person that does this. Let me pause and go to the divine. That's what this is asking me to do. I was thinking about, we went out to dinner. We don't go out to dinner as much anymore. We were out to dinner this Thursday, and it made me reminded me of how often, and actually Renee and I went to lunch on yesterday as well, and it reminds me of how we treat our servers. Like, do you know the name of the server that served you your last meal? How many times did you say thank you? Did you look them in the face, in the eyes? I see servers reaching over people, serving them meals, taking their dishes away, and people are so in conversation, it's like they aren't even there. I'm like, how about practicing thank you more often? How about practicing thank you, like all the time? Like now I want everybody in here to always know the name of your server. Ours at sea level yesterday was Emma. You know, what's your name? Emma. That's all. Like, I see you. I see you. That's a consciousness of abundance. A consciousness of lack is, you're serving me, when is my food coming? You know, it's not, it's you know, it's more of a consciousness of lack than a consciousness of abundance. And it's how you can nurture abundance, nurture that way of looking at the world. That's what I'm called. It's a way to nurture it. It's a way to nurture it. I've shared before this simple prayer. Here's another way to nurture a consciousness of abundance. Here's 2 words. You want to write them down? Show me. Just pray, show me. If you find yourself going here into fear, like, show me. And allow the wisdom that is there to show you. To bring that idea up of a salt march. Who knew? Who knew that that was possible? Allow that to happen in you. Show me. Show me. That's simple. I mean, teach yourself to trust. Teach yourself to trust. When you're on the boat, in the water, and Jesus is sleeping, leave him sleep. You know, how am I going to look at this? Like, trust this. Trust this guidance that you have. Trust the divine in you. It's all there. It's complete. I think it's what Jesus meant when he said, the kingdom of God is among you. It's already here. You're not getting there someday. It's right here. So depend on that. Trust that. Trust that. So you can stay here more often. You can be a possibilist. When somebody asks you about spiritual soul centers, say, oh, we're possibilists. They might run. They might run away from that. You know, check in inside. What I'm saying is this all comes from the inside. Let me read you from Paul's letter to the Hebrews to close out today. I can find it here. The fundamental fact of existence, which goes to Megan's quote. The fundamental fact of existence is that this trust in God, this faith, is the firm foundation under everything that makes life worth living. This is the foundation that makes life worth living. I don't want to be here. Does this make life worth living? Does it make it where I want to experience life from here? It is our handle on what we cannot see. Because that's what this is. When you talk about possibilities, by the way, kaleidoscope, right here. Life is never only what it seems. Possibilities abound when that wheel spins round and round. Possibilities abound because life is not always what it seems. It's not always disaster and doom. It's not always, oh, woe is me. Possibilities abound when that wheel spins round and round, when we know that there's some possibility. Right there it is. It always happens. It always happens here. The act of faith is what distinguishes our ancestors and set them above the crowd. By faith, we see the world called into existence by God's word, what we see created by what we don't see. In other words, yes, that's what a possibility is. Something we cannot see, and yet it comes about. The freedom of India, the financial wealth of Spiritual Soul Center, the boat becoming still and calm, all of that is what is possible. And it's all from the unseen. It's all from the unseen. So that's the message. Doomsayer, possibilist. Doomsayer, possibilist. My consciousness, my choice. Your consciousness, your choice. So let's take a deep breath and have a few moments of meditation. Yes, one more time. In. And let it out. Out. I said this message was going to be short. It was not. In. Out. Yes. All of that. The beauty of this message to me is that it's my consciousness and I get to choose. That I get to choose. It's simply a reminder today that whatever is happening out there, whatever the facts look like, are the facts. If I can bring my consciousness of abundance to whatever it is, who knows? I mean, who knows? I don't have to know. Just bring my consciousness of abundance to it over and over and over again. So let's just sit for a few minutes in contemplation on that. They didn't understand it, and I tried to make them see that one is only poor only if they choose to be. Now I know we had no money, but I was rich as I could be in my coat of many colors that my mama made for me.
Thought about life, where I could find it and how I could take its measure. For something always around that's not easily found, the secrets are guarded like treasures. Well, I looked in the canyons, the valleys, the deserts, and I ended up at the sea. Watching the surfer just follow the current, and the water seemed to set him free. That's when it came to me. Sometimes you sit in the ocean with your feet not touching the ground, while the gift of perpetual motion keeps you tossing and turning, sometimes crashing and burning, desperately yearning for one more wave to ride, before the tide settles down. stood for a while at the edge of the sea, with the waves crashing and churn. And I thought to myself, to be wild and free means your wheels must be constantly turned. I watched the tide come in and the tide go out. It was a dance of natural rhythm. Every movement assured there was nothing in doubt. It took every and all traces with it, and every trace was then forgiven. Ah, sometimes we sit in the ocean and our feet not touching the ground, while the gift of perpetual motion leaves us tossing and turning, sometimes crashing and burning, desperately yearning for one more wave to ride before the tide settles down. Memories will fade just as sure as the tide. Some will go quicker than others, that's certain. And sometimes you'll wipe out at the start of your ride. Sometimes you'll sail right through the curtains. But it's not where you're going or where you've been, all the trophies you placed on your shelf. Never forget that the ride is the thing, everything else is just everything else, and there really is nothing else. Ah, sometimes you'll sit in the ocean with your feet not touching the ground, while the gift of perpetual motion keeps you tossing and turning, sometimes crashing and burning, always desperately yearning for one more wave to ride before the tide settles down. Before the tide settles down now. We're just waiting on the water, waiting on the water, waiting on the water.
May I
be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be happy. May all beings be filled with loving kindness. May all be well. May all be peaceful and at ease. May all be happy.
And so it is. See you next time. Oh,